Hi there, and welcome to one hell of a cruise review. Now, I don't mean that as in like, oh, look at my amazing video, but more like, oh, look at my amazing cruise. 33 words into the script, and I can already feel this whole thing's gonna sound sponsored, but I assure you, it's not. I'm tempted to say something like, Virgin Voyages is the best thing since pre-sliced bread, but I was never really a fan of pre-sliced bread, so this cruise definitely ranks higher. I don't want to get ahead of myself though, we have a lot to get through. If you don't know much about Virgin Voyages, I'd highly suggest checking out my Virgin Voyages 10-minute guide, which will explain how Virgin does things and how they're different from other cruise lines. That video is linked above and in the description. Right now, I'm in the port city of Piraeus, which is just a short 10 to 20 minute drive southwest from Athens, depending on where you're starting. You can also easily take a taxi directly to here from the airport, which will be around a 40-minute drive. Piraeus is a massive port town and has 3 cruise terminals near the maritime entrance to the port. Today we're heading to Terminal C. And by terminal, I mean tent. Before we get into the meat and moussaka of it all, let me quickly introduce myself to any of you that may be new to the channel. My name is Kevin and I am the Flip Flop Traveler. I'm here to give you 2 honest videos each week about flights, hotels, trains, and sometimes cruises. This video is self-funded and Virgin had no prior knowledge that I'd be on board. This is simply my honest opinion based on my own unique experience. So let's get sailing into episode 314. Right off the bat, something that's really different about Virgin are the embarkation and disembarkation times. Everything is essentially 3 hours later than you'd be used to on another line. I had priority boarding and I was due to arrive at the port between 1:30 and 2. If needed, you'll drop your bags and then wait in the semi-air conditioning holding pen until your group is called. While waiting here though, this is important, possibly like the second most important thing in this video, connect to the ship's Wi-Fi right away. It should work. Once connected, get into your Virgin Voyages app and book all of your entertainment. Have a game plan written out and book. If you have a later boarding time, I'd say there's almost something to be said for sending someone in your party to the port early just to connect to the Wi-Fi and book stuff. That's assuming that you're staying kinda close. You'll be able to see the entertainment schedules 45 days in advance, but you can only book it while connected to the ship's Wi-Fi starting on the day of your cruise. 45 days out is a massively important date for your cruise in another way as well. This is when you can start booking your dining reservations. For those in Rockstar or Mega Rockstar suites, you can do it from 60 days out. A quick aside in case you didn't already notice, there are 2 really unconventional things about the Virgin Voyages ship design. First, the front hull is vertical, which gives the ship a really modern feel. But the biggest difference is the color. She's battleship gray, something that will sound like a bad choice until you see it in person. So for the reservations, keep in mind that there's no main dining room. So making reservations for each night is essential unless you want to eat in the galley or wait in line. I actually didn't know about the 45-day rule. It was nowhere to be seen in my confirmation email, but I got very lucky. Just by chance, exactly 45 days out, I called Virgin to ask to change my room number. After they sorted that out, she said in passing, "Oh, and it looks like your dining just opened up as well. Make sure you get those booked ASAP." You can make your reservations directly in the Virgin app or by calling their hotline. So let me explain a little bit about this video. We're going to start outside and explore all the lounging spaces and venues. Keep in mind, whenever possible, I film during off-peak times, so don't take a lack of guests as an indication of occupancy. The ship was pretty full. After the exterior decks, we'll do a mini look at the ports on this cruise, and then explore all of the casual eateries and venues on board that are inside. And yes, I did try almost everything. We'll head to my stateroom for a tour, and then we're going to check out every dining venue on board, because that is the highlight of the cruise. And finally, we'll wrap it all up with some entertainment options on offer. Our ship, the Resilient Lady, just launched last year in May of 2023, and this is the 3rd ship for Virgin, with 1 more on the way. All 4 ships are the same in design and layout, and can hold 2,700 guests and 1,160 crew. So we're in the larger end of the mid-size cruise ship world, considering what's being built these days. Design, concept, and layout-wise, there are 3 common complaints, and I fully agree with 2 of them. plus I have one of my own. The first is that the primary pool is comically small. It's almost like they wanted you to complain about this. Oh, did I say the primary pool? I meant the only pool. There's also a large jacuzzi on the other side of the bar and 2 small jacuzzis up in the back deck. Otherwise, that's all, folks. And I should point out that the main pool, if you look closely, around half of the water, especially on each end, it's only a few inches deep. Next to the pool and above the jacuzzi, there are 2 bars plus a health and wellness bar just next to the jacuzzi. As we have a look around, let me explain a bit about drinks on board and Virgin's loyalty program. Drinks first. Unlike most cruise lines, branded soft drinks on board Virgin are free, along with your standard juices, coffees, tea, and filtered water in your staterooms as well. I'll show you that in detail later. Beyond that, you pay. But there are no drink packages, which I thought I was gonna hate, but actually I ended up thinking it was really smart. You can pay drink by drink, or you can buy a bar tab in advance and get 12 to 25% bonus depending on how much you buy to begin with. The nice thing about the bar tab system is you don't need to buy one for everyone in your room, unlike most cruise lines where you have to buy the same package for everyone. And you can order and share drinks however you'd like to on Virgin. Virgin makes a point of saying that their drinks are reasonably priced as well, and I would mostly agree. Beers are $7 to $9, cocktails from $11, and according to them, 40% of by-the-glass wines are under $11. These are all USD and include tax and tip. I want to talk about tips more in a bit, but first, that second complaint that you'll hear. There's a lack of seating that is actually comfortable, and I'd have to agree and go one step further and say there are quite a few missed opportunities for lounging spaces. Up here on the rear of the top deck, for example, the entire perimeter is lined with giant vinyl cushions. To me, not only is this uncomfortable after like 3.5 minutes, it also doesn't allow you to see over the rail unless you're standing on the cushions. This is just one example, but you'll see it's a common theme on board. As for my own complaint about the ship's design, you can't access any outdoor areas in the forward part of the ship unless you have a suite. This whole area behind the divider is in the front of the ship and has key-controlled access only for suite guests. Before we check out the sail away party, let me talk quickly about what is included in your cruise fare, because tips are among many other things. This is how Virgin presents it as a value, supposedly compared to their competitors. Virgin fares include all dining venues, except for special dinner shows. All soft drinks, as I mentioned, all tips, free basic Wi-Fi, fitness classes, entertainment, and the like. There is one way that you can upgrade some of these things though, even if you've never sailed with Virgin before. They have a 3-tier loyalty program based on how many times you've sailed with them. Sailing Club, Blue Extras, and Deep Blue Extras. And they also status match from other cruise lines. Until the end of 2024, they'll give you Blue Extras if you have status with another line. When I did my status match last year, there was a promo to match to Deep Blue Extras, so I received that priority boarding that I mentioned, premium Wi-Fi, 2 specialty coffees per day, a $100 bar tab, and a free bag of laundry. So, I think we all know what happens if you click like on this video and subscribe to the channel. But do you know what happens if you don't? You may never see me or one of my videos again. So if you enjoy this style of content, be sure to click all of the good buttons. If you're interested in a peek of the inner workings of the channel, or just need some travel advice, be sure to check out my Patreon. Whatever you do, thanks for being here right now. Okay, sail away. Virgin does sail away arguably better than anybody else. Sparkling wine is free-flowing for free during the party, and it is certainly just actually a party. You'll even notice some staff walking around with drinks. Let me explain. Summing up and talking about service on board Virgin is actually pretty easy because it's just really consistent. As I mentioned in my guide video, a huge part of Virgin's ethos is inclusivity. This extends to guests and staff are encouraged to be themselves and mingle with guests. Often, entertainment on board is interactive, and the staff in general are, I think, the best at sea, and here's why. They're just being themselves. There's no facade, there's no strict interaction rules. We're all adults, and that's simply how you'll interact with staff. By the way, that inclusivity I mentioned doesn't extend to kids. They need to be left at home. I booked this cruise last year with points, and I had a choice of this cruise or one leaving from Barcelona. This one from Athens looks much more enticing to me. Our first stop was in Santorini, followed by Rhodes, Bodrum, and a sea day, and then an overnight in Mykonos, before heading back to Athens. The port highlights for me on this trip were Mykonos and Rhodes. Mykonos is just a gorgeous island for walking around, and of course for partying if that's your thing. Rhodes, on the other hand, is much more laid back, oozes history, and compared to Mykonos and Santorini at least, is much less saturated with tourism. The low light for me, and it's hard to say this, was Santorini, and it's only because of the absolutely absurd wait times to get up the mountain. If you want to explore Fiora on your own, you must either walk up the switchbacks with the donkeys or take the cable car. I was in line, in the sun, for 93 minutes. The heat was bad, and there had to be at least 5 verbal fights that broke out, generally because of people trying to cut the line, since there's no actual structure to the line. It's as if Santorini woke up that morning and forgot that they had 7,000 people visiting that needed to use the cable cars. And I think I actually got lucky that there were only 3 ships in port today. That said, of course it is a gorgeous island. I've been here before on cruises and off, but personally next time, if I visit with a cruise, I'll be enjoying the scenery from the ship, or booking an excursion. Okay, let's actually head inside. I've been on around 20 cruises on many different ships, and the Virgin ships are set up unlike any ships I've been on before. The interior areas are fairly compartmentalized. Think of it like an open floor plan house without loads of walls. That's what most of us are used to these days on cruise ships. Virgin is much more like a house that has walls in between each and every room. Much more like an ocean liner. Spaces are often tucked away, for example the reception area, which was nearly hidden. That said, that's not a complaint, it's just a true difference. The central hub inside is the roundabout. The roundabout is surrounded by some small lounging areas, a couple of bars, the ice cream shop, and the pizza shop. I'm not really an ice cream kind of guy unless it's like life-changing gelato, but I have heard that the stuff on offer here is known to be really good. That said, I am definitely a pizza kind of guy, and that was easily the best pizza that I've ever had on a cruise ship. Everything is made to order, all personal-sized pizzas, and they're phenomenal, and of course, free, and I think they're usually open until like 2 a.m. This is On the Rocks, which is one of the larger bars on board. As the name suggests, the bar focuses heavily on aged spirits served on the rocks. One of my other favorite spots on board was the Grounds Club. This is the specialty coffee shop. Drinks here are chargeable, but if you have extras, this is one of the 2 spots where you can order your daily free coffees. Food items are free, and I cannot explain to you how much I absolutely love that they have reusable cups, with lids and straws for iced coffee. Next up, we have a really unique space, the Social Club, Diner and Bar. For this one, I'll let Virgin do the talking. Quote, "It's an ode to carnival classics, both in fare and spirit. From fairground staples like pretzels and hot dogs, to modern takes on milkshakes and floats. Our signature drinks and treats are just as photogenic as they are stacked high, with cookies, frosting, and candy. But we don't call it social for nothing. This diner is perfect for playing a game of shuffleboard, boarding card games, and much more." That social bit brings up a good point. Since this is a very social and interactive cruise experience, I was trying to gauge before sailing what the experience would be like for solo cruisers. There are 2 primary types of solo cruisers. Those that are there to meet people, and those that are there to read a book. Both worthwhile holidays, not judging. I can say for sure, Virgin has learned to cater to both of them. In the beginning of Virgin's existence, there was talk about solo cruisers being nearly forced to sit together at dinner. Entertainment interaction seemed sometimes a bit uncomfortable, and there was a general lack of events for social solos. This has all been ironed out. There are events, and there is also plenty of respect for those that enjoy their own company. Next up, we have the dock and the dockhouse, the latter being the indoor part. This is one of my favorite spaces on board, both inside and out. No matter what time of day or night, it's the best lounge area on board, and the spaces are beautifully decorated. During the day, the food offerings are focused on Mediterranean-style tapas, which can be ordered in addition to a meze cart, which is pushed around and you can just select things from it. Great food, great atmosphere. Two other casual spots were the Grounds Club 2, which is upstairs in the galley, and finally, the only food that I had on board which was a bit disappointing was topside at the Sun Club and Cafe, which has a variety of light bites as well as things like salads and poke bowls. The food wasn't bad, it was just underwhelming. Okay, let's go ahead to my stateroom. While I am generally a fan of the modern aesthetic on the ship, the only places where I wasn't were the hallways and stairwells, which felt needlessly hospital-like. A nice hospital perhaps, but still quite sterile. I had a central sea terrace cabin. Of the balcony cabins, there are 4 categories. At the bottom, there are limited view sea terraces, then the sea terrace, then the central sea terrace, which are centrally located, and finally the sea terrace XL. The primary difference for the XL is a much larger and open-plan bathroom. The rest of the room itself is the same size. Prior to my sailing, these were offered in an email upgrade for $300. Overall, I loved just about everything in this room except the bathroom. Virgin has definitely warmed the palettes up a bit with added wooden touches, and I think they've settled on a good mix of design and actual functionality. This empty area here has drawers below it, and it's the platform area that you're going to need if you want your room changed into a living room, which is a very unique thing to Virgin, and likely a mistake on their part. When they were debuting their first ship, they touted this feature as if you would have your cabin attendants change the layout every single day, which is just not practical or necessary. I asked them to set this up for me just once on a sea day, which was nice to have, and on my next Virgin cruise I would likely do the same way. The beds are comfortable and the linen's decent quality, better than most cruise lines out there. The desk area has a lot going on. Personally, because I'm always working on board, I would have loved to have an actual chair here, but I understand why that's not probably a smart choice for most. This is the central hub technology-wise for your stateroom due to the iPad, which can also do just about anything that you need to. Whether you want to turn on the TV, set some mood lighting, close the curtains, order room service, schedule room cleaning, request ice, play music, you name it, this iPad can do it for you, except perhaps your laundry. But you can request laundry service. And it all actually worked pretty well. In your room, there will be carafes of drinking water, green caps for still and purple for sparkling. Just let your attendants know your preferences. I always had them leave 2 still up here and have 1 sparkling in the fridge. By the way, unlike any other cruise that I've ever been on, you'll have 2 stateroom attendants here, who will share the responsibilities for upkeeping your room. They were super friendly, and this is one of the cleanest cruise cabins that I've been in. The closet design, some complain about, but I don't mind it too much. It's nice that there's no door to open, but I can understand why some don't like it. My only complaint is that the privacy button is literally inside the closet space. And now onto the bathroom. This bathroom holds a very special place for me since I'm pretty sure it's the smallest bathroom that I've ever been in on a cruise ship or in a decent hotel. There's enough sink and counter space, I think. The shower space is decent, and I like the rainfall shower head and the glass door, but the remaining floor space is just absurdly small. My flip-flop is modeling so you can get an idea of the actual size of the floor space. But like all things in life, we can fix that with a hammock. Let's go check out the balcony. It's more or less a standard size for a balcony room, but there is one massive burning flaw out here. The railings throughout the ship are mostly all black metal. What were we all taught about black metal in like 7th grade? That it absorbs heat? Correct. You literally could not touch it. 144 degrees is 62 degrees Celsius, and it wasn't even unreasonably hot outside. The door handle wasn't much better. But again, we can fix everything with a hammock. This hammock stole time from me. Naps happened here, many of them, day and night. I might have bought one. Okay, time for food. So much food. First things first, that fourth complaint that I said that some people had, but I didn't necessarily agree with, well, that's that there's no buffet. And I'll be honest, I thought I wasn't going to be happy with this, but I ended up loving it. It evolved over time. This is the Galley. It's a collection of 7 food venues open for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and the diner is also open 24 hours. I'll let you have a look around and at the menu. Some of the venues have grab-and-go items, but for the most part, you'll grab a seat and a server will be along shortly. Order whatever you'd like and it'll be brought right to you. At first, when they first launched the cruise line, there were major issues with food coming out fast enough. But during my cruise, this was never a problem. We'll have a look around and then I'll show you a few of the dishes that I ordered. I need to shout out the grab-and-go food. This was absolutely brilliant. Items rotated throughout the day, and it was available in multiple locations on the ship. All packaged in reusable clamshells. Everything from granola pots to salads to sandwiches and desserts. Overall, the breakfast food was top-notch and didn't make me wish for a buffet at all. Same for lunch, and on the contrary, I loved that there wasn't a buffet available for lunch. Lunch buffets is where I generally go off the rails, because no one on Earth needs a full daily buffet at lunch. So I enjoyed being limited in this regard. Just to see how it would be, I had dinner up here one night as well, and this I wouldn't recommend, simply because the other dining venues are just too good. Before we explore them though, a note about the dress code. Well, this is the most flip-flop traveler-friendly cruise line on Earth because there is no dress code. In their words, quote, "Sure, sometimes dressing up can be nice, but we believe that the obligation for wearing cocktail dresses, suits, and ties belongs at weddings and funerals, not on vacation. This isn't the Titanic in 1912, where the onboard experience is defined by a class system rife with social posturing. Our voyages are casual, inclusive, come-as-you-go experiences where what you wear doesn't matter nearly as much as how much fun you're having," unquote. Okay, sit-down restaurants. First up, we have Razzle Dazzle, which features a menu that is truly half vegetarian and half for meat eaters. Razzle Dazzle is open for brunch on certain days and dinner. As we look around, let me tell you about reservations. Depending on the length of your cruise depends on how many times you can book in advance the same restaurant. 5-night cruises and it's once per restaurant. 14-night cruises and you can do up to 3. But this doesn't include walk-ins. So in theory, on a 5-night cruise, if you wanted to eat at the same of the 6 sit-down restaurants each night, you could, but only one of those nights would have a reservation, and the other 4 you would need to do walk-in seating, which could have a wait time. We've got a lot of food to cover, so I'm just going to give you the name of each dish and the score out of 10 for each, unless there's something outstanding to note. For dinner, fried green tomatoes and okra, 8.2 out of 10. Pork belly with bourbon maple glaze, 7.8 out of 10. Short rib pastrami, 9.5 out of 10. That was incredible. Dark s'mores, 4 out of 10. It was just smoky pudding. For brunch, smoked cheddar jalapeno croissant, 6 out of 10. It just tasted like a croissant. Mushroom tartare, 9 out of 10. Virgin does really good things with mushrooms. Fried chicken sandwich, 8 out of 10. Take the beets out of the equation and add a point. Next up, we have Extra Virgin, which is, you guessed it, the Italian restaurant on board. For me, this was my least favorite of the sit-down venues. It was good, but it was just very predictable. The Table Focaccia, 8.5 out of 10. Basic, but a good salt crunch. Crispy artichoke with caper aioli and charred lemon, 6 out of 10. Bright in flavor, but not crispy enough. Braised mini meatballs, 6.5 out of 10. Bucatini alla carbonara, 7 out of 10. Gets a pass because I love bucatini, but that's not a carbonara. Porcini rubbed New York strip, 7 out of 10. Chocolate olive oil cake with red wine poached pears, 8.2 out of 10. Next up, hidden behind the reception area, which, keep in mind is also hidden, is Pink Agave, which was arguably the most stylish of the venues, but also had the most uncomfortable seating if that matters to you. And some tables were just extremely close together. That said, the food at this Mexican restaurant definitely made up for it. Camarón amarillo, shrimp with yellow mole, 9.3 out of 10. Really beautifully cooked. Aguachile, a type of tuna ceviche, 8.1 out of 10. Guacamole, 7 out of 10. The chip to guac ratio was way off, but it was delicious. Cochinita pibil, marinated smoked pork, 9.8 out of 10. An absolute star. Chocolate tamale, 9.7 out of 10. The star's encore. Next up is Gunbae. This is the Korean barbecue restaurant. If dining with 3 or less, you'll definitely be seated with a larger party. I skipped this one, in part to have dinner in the Galley one night, and in part because I used to live within a block of like 5 Korean barbecues. The Test Kitchen. This is their molecular gastronomy lab of sorts. Clinical and modern, but it fits, and I enjoyed the counter seating. For the menu, you choose the original menu or the vegetarian, and there are drink pairing menus if you'd like as well. First up, mushroom. 10 out of 10. The best thing that I ate on this cruise. A very well-seasoned mushroom pate. The guy next to me came back 3 days in a row just to have this and then go eat dinner somewhere else. Egg, 5 out of 10. I kept waiting for some sort of hidden flavor to come through, but in the end it was just peas with an egg yolk. Scallop, 8.3 out of 10. On the menu, this is venison/beef. I can't remember if it was a choice or just luck of the draw, but I know I had beef. 8.4 out of 10. Nicely prepared but oversauced. The potato fondant slab that I got though, 9.5. Blue cheese, 10 out of 10. So, I hate blue cheese, but this was phenomenal. It was a savory frozen custard and was very blue cheese forward, but was so balanced that it truly was the first time in my life that I enjoyed blue cheese, and that's why it's a 10. Last up, chocolate, 7 out of 10. Good, but lava cake's time have passed. And then we have the wake. This is the onboard steakhouse and perhaps the most beautiful restaurant that I've ever seen at sea. Open some days for brunch and nightly for dinner. Parker House rolls, 9.1 out of 10. So good. A bonus point for having flaky salt on the table. Hamachi crudo, 8 out of 10. Light and refreshing, but I didn't enjoy all of the condensation fingerprints around the outside of the plate. Clam chowder, 9.7 out of 10. Appreciated the separately cooked shellfish and ridiculously velvety chowder. New York strip with brown butter mushrooms and cream spinach. I'm gonna go for a 9.5. In reality, I think it's like an 8.2, but this was one of the dishes that I had on the cruise where I was taken aback by the fact that it was included. On any other cruise line, this would easily be a $50 surcharge. Meyer lemon cheesecake, 9.7 out of 10. My mouth is salivating, remembering how the lemon hit the sides of my tongue. A dessert worthy of a very good restaurant. For brunch, fennel and citrus salad with pecorino, pistachio crumble, and honey. 9 out of 10. Literally 4 of my favorite things on earth. The Wake Eggs Benedict with crispy pork belly, spinach, and bone marrow hollandaise. 7 out of 10. In retrospect, just way too rich for brunch, but well prepared. Apple tatin, 8 out of 10. That was a lot. I need a nap in my hammock. Now, on to the things to do at night. First up, the Scarlet Night. On each cruise, one night will be designated the Scarlet Night, when literally the entire ship will go red. There are onboard events, a giant pool party, and plenty of other festivities throughout the night. For other nights, the dock was one of my favorite spots again. Gorgeous views and spaces at night, with a full bar of course. Then we have Sips, which is the champagne bar and lounge, which also serves up afternoon tea and, allegedly, breakfast, though I didn't catch that. The Loose Cannon near the dock is a bar inspired by seaside bars in Brighton. Just off the roundabout, we have Draft House, which has your largest selection of beer on board. And this is on the rocks when it's all dressed up for service. And finally, the Dockhouse. Entertainment-wise, first up we have the casino. It's certainly not the largest casino in the world, but it does get the job done. Note that the casino, as well as all rooms and balconies, are smoke-free, though there are some designated smoking areas on board. Okay, so there are two primary venues on board for entertainment, and they're both pretty small, but I think I get it. First up, we have the Red Room. Right now, it's set up like a theater, but it is a versatile space and can morph into a number of different configurations depending on the show. I made the mistake of going for the Tape Face show, which I'm sure was meant to be interactive and edgy, but in the end was essentially 45 minutes of him picking on people. If it wasn't for the fact that the lights were on the whole time, I would have walked out. The second space is the Manor. This venue is a dance club with 3 bars, as well as a theater and dinner theater venue. It's truly the ultimate transforming venue, and it was always a good time. The first time I went was for Lola's Library, which is described as, quote, part cocktail soiree and part immersive cabaret. Follow our cast of characters as they take you through an eclectic book collection, unquote. This was semi-interactive. The crew had a good sense of who did and didn't want to be involved. I've read online that the shows in the Manor were very adult-focused. Well, either they've toned it down or I'm just a little bit jaded, but nothing seemed more than PG-13 to me. The show was truly one of the better productions that I've ever seen at sea. Genuinely original with a fantastic cast. And one thing that I like about Virgin is each ship has different shows, so not only will you get a variety if you sail often, but you'll also know that the cast that you're seeing is best at what they're doing right now. The last event that I went to was Another Rose, also at the Manor. This was $50 per person and was the only actual thing that I paid extra for on the cruise. It was a dinner show which included cocktails as well. By any standards, $50 was a great price for what you got. When booking, you can specifically choose the front row, the ground floor, or the balcony, and I chose upstairs. When you enter, you'll be given a fabric rose to indicate where you'll sit, and then you'll hang out around the bar while drinks are passed for 15 minutes or so, some of the cast intermingling among you. Then you'll take your seats and the well-choreographed meal and show will begin. The show itself is, quote, a one-of-a-kind experience produced by Randy Weiner, and developed exclusively for us. This acrobatic love story is equal parts cabaret and immersive theater, unquote. Immersive theater is putting it lightly, so note that if you choose the front row, you'll need to move with your table halfway through the meal. And for those of you that are clean freaks, no judgment, the cast literally walks on the tables in the front row. For the meal, you can choose veg or non-veg. The veg menu also features mocktails, but I'm sure that you could get veg and cocktails if you asked. In addition to the cocktails, you also had free-flowing sparkling wine and soft drinks. First up for non-veg for this Indian-inspired meal was a really good sweet potato chaat, a 9 out of 10, followed by a gin-based love potion cocktail. Next, we had the tuna bomb in semolina puri, 8.6 out of 10. The main dish was spiced braised short ribs with Kashmiri chili and basmati rice grits, a solid 9.3 out of 10. Those grits or rice or whatever it was, with the sauce was to die for. With that, we had an Amaro-based elixir of the poppy. For dessert, a rose petal cheesecake, which was just a 6 out of 10. Nothing bad, but one bite was enough. Okay, so you still there? All 6 of you? Okay, well, we're almost done. I'll just show you around the shops and fitness center as I give you my final thoughts. I love cruising, truly, but the cruise industry hasn't always understood how to, or cared how to, appeal to a massive swath of people, which I am part of. I loved actually cruising, being on the water, waking up in a new port. And don't get me wrong for 1 second, especially on Celebrity, I love a good buffet and lounging around. But this Virgin cruise is the first time that I truly ever loved all of the other things associated with cruising. From the food to the entertainment, the crew, and most importantly, the come one, come all vibe, which led to a diverse crowd, which in its own way did actually represent the same communities we're part of at home. Closer than on other cruise lines at least. For decades, cruising was a retirement activity. Then it became a family activity on some cruise lines. And now, there's finally an adult version of it. Adults of all ages. Virgin knows what they're doing, and they're doing it damn well. And more so than any other cruise line, hotel chain, or airline, I really do hope that they're able to find their footing and grow into a decent-sized cruise line in the long term. This industry desperately needs them. So, how is that? Still somehow 180 words shorter than my Costa Cruises review. I really do hope that you enjoyed every bit of this video that you were looking for, and I hope that you click the like button and subscribe with notifications on so you don't miss out on my twice weekly content. I'll see you next time for the finale of my Japan series, flying Japan Airlines from Osaka to Taipei. Oh, and as always, thanks for watching until the end.